welcome back. Okay, so this part, last part, is one of the most affordable and easiest backgrounds that you can imagine. Okay, so what you're going to need is some cotton wool pads. I mean, I personally like to use my fingers and some Q-tips to get in the smaller areas. Now, I am using soft chalk pastels. These are the 72 Creative Studio set by Faber Castell. They're really affordable, and that's why I'm trying to do this whole picture on something that most people have in their colouring collections by now. So the Prismacolors and these chalk pastels. Now, you don't have to use these ones. You can use any soft chalk pastels that you have. I just love these. These have lasted me forever. Now, what I tend to do prior to doing I'm trying to match. So I know that I want this as pastel type of tones. So instead of going full in straight away, I'm looking at what I can do on a piece of paper. So I'm trying to colour match on how I want my background. Now, I know I want this yellow in the back, and I kind of was edging towards whether I wanted this sort of turquoise or maybe a purple. Now, I'm more edging towards these two. And what you can also do in that is when it's all done and you've got your bubbles that are going to pop from it, you can add, just with an electric razor, you can do it by hand. You can add like little circles in as well. But that's something you can do if you want to. At the moment, I don't think I'm going to, because we've got quite a few circles in the way of bubbles on our page. Now, I am going to keep within the border. I don't want to go out. If you do get out of the border, grab your eraser, and it's easily erasable. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to mix up a purple, so like a lavender, and a yellow. Now, in my set here, my purple is this lavender up here, and my yellow is this really ochred, very pale yellow, as opposed to the bright, vivid yellows that are in the set, like these neon types. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking more for a muted one, and a muted, I'm going to say it's a muted sort of purple. It's more lavender. It's looking quite bright on the camera, I think, but it is quite subtle as opposed to being vivid. And what I mean by that is, if I grab my finger, if I get one of those darker purples, that's how dark they can come out. They're really a bit too much for me, and I wanted it a little bit more muted. So I've gone for the lavender and a very ochred buttercup yellow, and not too bright. So all you're going to do is place that down on your paper. Now, I usually start this off with my fingers, just because I find my finger gets the job done really, really quick. And as I said, it's affordable and it's easy, and it's something that anyone can do. Anyone, you can do it, I can do it, anyone can do it. So I'm going to get, first of all, I'm going to sort of look at my placement of where I want my colour, and I'm going to go for this yellow first. So I'm just going to get it on my finger and start to place in. Now, the reason I personally do it with my finger to start is because I can get an even coverage. Now, I want these jellyfish to really pop. So if I do a muted pastel background, that's going to happen. It's going to pop. We've got a great set of colours on these jellyfish. They're going to stand off the page, and that is my aim. Now, don't worry about going in all these little tiny bits. That's what your cotton buds, we call them, or if you're in the US, you call them Q-tips. I'm going to worry about that after. So I'm just going to sort of place where I want my yellows to go. So I'm doing it with my finger. Don't worry about getting your hands messy. That's the whole fun of this bit. Now, they are chalky. I don't use a fixative. You can do. I don't feel like I need to. It's not going to come off in my experience. You might have a tiny bit of residue, but to be honest, it's not going to be really bad that it's coming off everything. I've done these pastel backgrounds for years now, and they're still there. They've not come off. So I'm just placing enough on my page for now. Don't worry, we're going to come back with our Q-tip. So I'm just sort of looking at where I want the placement of this yellow. So we are going to also, you know, even coverage here with our Q-tips, but for now I'm just wanting to put the colour down, and we're going to bring in some purple after. But as I said, you're going to come into all these grooves with your Q-tips, so don't worry about that for now. So it does make a horrible sound, that's the only thing, because they are really chalky, but they are soft pastels, you know, so they're gonna be, but that's the versatility of them as well, because they're really easy to put on. And because we've done all our colouring, we can just focus on this last bit and add in all our details in. You're also going to need a posca pen because we're going to go around the outside of the jellies. Okay, so just for a minute I'm going to wipe my finger off. And I don't want a lot of purple. See, that's come too dark at the edge there. So now you've got to be a little bit more careful, and I'm not pressing down hard now. I'm going to go a little bit more subtle with my lay down on this, because this can go one of two ways. It can be too much on the page or too little. I'd rather have too little and build up than have too much. So just with your finger, buff that into your page. And as I said, you're going to get your Q-tips or your cotton buds, wherever you are in the world. I call them cotton buds. Cotton buds, to add in, going up to these areas up there. So for now, we're just sort of looking at putting the purple in. And don't be scared to do this, you know, it's not going to be a Picasso. That's not what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for subtle. We want a subtle background so that our jellies stand out a clear mile off our page, and we've got some colour behind it. And this is so doable for anyone. We can add a bit of pink as well, but for now, let's focus on our two colours. And as well, do you know what I love about pastels? They just blend. So you've got your yellow, you're putting your purple, and they're just like an instant blend. That is what I love about this. I'm like, yeah, let's just go for it. So I absolutely love it. I love it. So I'm going to come up here as well. And as I said, I'm not going to worry about this border because I can come with my eraser and it erases like magic. So go very light to start with because you can go and add harder to take away. See what I mean already? They're already standing out, but you've got something on your page, haven't you? And that's what I wanted. My whole point in this was that anyone can do this page. That's what I wanted to show with this. So I'm not going to do a fancy background. My whole point is do a background that suits, but one that everyone can do. And I believe everyone and anyone can do this. So if you've got any residue, just grab your pad and just dust that straight off. And now we're going to grab our Q-tips and get in some of that detail in. Okay, so we're going to stick with it. Oh, I'm sorry if I've bumped that camera. Okay, so I'm going to go on with my lavender colour, and I'm going to come into these tiny little crevices in between these tentacles now. See, we can bring that colour in. And the good thing with the Q-tips or the cotton buds is they really are great for this. Like, you don't need fancy tools. Not for these soft pastels. For the pan pastels, different story. Different story, but we're not using pan pastels today. We are using an affordable brand, an affordable set, and something nearly every single colorist has now got in their colouring collection. So that was my whole point in this. Let's do something everyone can do. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's the name and aim of the game today. So then I'm going to go over to my yellow. Don't worry about getting it on anything. You can roll your sleeves up if you want to, you know. I'm just going to go in the top of this jelly with the yellow. And any residue, as I said, you can get a little bit of tissue or a cotton pad and just wipe Now I am going around the colouring that we've put down. I'm not going over. If you get any over, it doesn't matter because it won't show so much. That's why we put our colour down prior to. So we're going to get right on in there. So this is the yellow. You can just as well, just, you know, blow it all off. It really is an easy background to do. And that is just perfect for me. What, you know, why overcomplicate this? The jellies are doing their talking on their own. They're standing out. And that is exactly why I wanted to do a very subtle pastel background. Okay, so you can see now it's starting to come to life a bit more. Now if you want to add some more depth, just go over again. Just put some more pastel on your Q-tip and just deepen up parts here. You can also grab a pencil, which we might do. Okay, so again, you can just dab it. That's all we have to do. So I'm going to come back to my yellow in the corner and just add some more up above here as well. You can add a tiny bit more. Just blend it out. It's great. And with your finger, you really are just blending it all out. It's great, isn't it? Isn't it like magic? Okay, so it really is a nice simple background to do. I'm going to go back over to my purple and I'm going to bring some of that down here. And I am going to go around this because we're going to bring that out in white. So again, I'm just going to deepen that up a bit more. And my finger's going to come in handy again, and I'm just going to blend in with my finger. Just really even it out. And then grab your tissue or your cotton pad and just dab it. Dab any excess off. Like there's not much, just a little bit. Okay, so down here we've got a little bit more that I want to cover. So I'm going to get my purple. I'm going to add a little bit more onto my Q-tip that's purple. I find it weird saying Q-tip. Cotton bud. And I'm just going to add that a little bit more in again. So just deepen up, go over, add some more. Finger, blend. I absolutely love getting my hands dirty with this because I think that the hands actually blend these soft chalk pastels. Do not think of pan pastels the same because they really aren't. They do the job for me perfectly. They really do not need anything fancy for these soft pastels because the blendability with your finger is absolutely perfect. And why spend on things for them when you've got something for free? Okay. So it really is so quick and easy, isn't it? So all I'm going to do now is just dab off any excess. Just dab it. A little bit comes off, as you can see. Okay. Now I'm trying to decide whether I want to add just a little bit of any other colour. So I'm looking at my colour palette and I'm thinking maybe a little bit of this green. Only a touch. So on here, it's this green here. It's like the lightest, like a lime peel, not the darker greens. Now again, I'm going to go with my finger because I think my finger's best. And I'm just going to start to add a touch in some of the areas that we've kind of left a little bit more white. So I'm not going to do it much, it is just a touch of it. And as I said, don't worry about any borders because we can always erase with an electric eraser after. It really does it brings that little bit of extra oomph out in it, doesn't it? So really use your finger to sort of blend. Just blend it all in. Okay, so we're going to use a little bit up here. And I think it's missing a bit of purple up there, so I'm going to go back to my purple. Make sure you wipe your finger off though. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what I want with it at the minute. So what I'm now going to do is grab a posca. Now the ones that I have, I would recommend the nib 1mm. So this is 0.7 because my one has just run out. So I'm going to zoom you in a moment, and I'm going to come up to my jellyfish head. Make sure it's well shook. And you know where I said about making sure that the outline was white? Well, we couldn't do that prior because we needed to do the background first. So I'm just going to go around the jellyfish. Just make sure it is whited out. Just completely whited out the black line. And you can also come with some small, just like an invisible circle, isn't it? So I'm also going to bring you over to this little one down here. And this one, we had more of a line still visible. So carefully white out the black line of the jelly. So I'm just going slowly because there's no need for a rush on this at all. Okay, so just go around the entire jellyfish. Make sure that outer line is completely covered up. So on my end it looks it, apart from this tiny bit. So okay, I'm just going to zoom out a second, just a tad, and I'm also going to add some circles, so like invisible bubbles, sort of just very small. So I'm sort of going to go around here. And then what I'm going to do is, if I zoom out further, is look at it now and just see where I want to put any additional details. So straight away I'm kind of looking down here, and kind of want to add one bigger one down there. And then, you know, like these tentacles down here, I'm just going to add like an extra sort of wiggly line around them. Just add in any little details that you kind of want to at this point. So shake it up again, because sometimes they do kind of run out. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, and I'm just going to pause for a second, but you won't see that. I'll be back and we'll add the finishing touches entirely. Okay, so now this is just a Faber Castell Perfection, and I am just going to erase some small areas again, just to add just a few extra details that I usually always do anyway with my soft pastel, chalk pastel backgrounds, because I just like the effect that it gives. Now you can do this with an electric eraser, but they don't end up as circular as I personally want them, so I just come in with a manual one because I just find them easier. So you can just add however many you want, and it really does, to me, make a huge difference to the final sort of piece. And just with your hand, wipe away. Just add a few in like that. Just looking, I might just go over that one that I did with the white pen. There we go. And that wraps up our jellyfish, Kerby jellyfish. I really like the result. As I said, anyone can do this, and that's the whole point. I wanted them to stand out, and it's have a really subtle pastel background that anyone can achieve, and just leaves the illustration to speak for itself. And to me, it really does. So if I come in a little bit closer, you can see the detailing. And you can play around, you can add different colours. I would do even pink instead of purple. You could do like a pink and a subtle green, entirely up to you, but I think those really complement the actual illustration of the jellyfish. So we wrapped up our jellies after our 3 live streams, our bubbles, and our background. So I'll see you on my next live stream, which is on Saturday. If you're new to my channel, I live stream on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 4 PM UK time. I try to do a few Thursdays in a month, so I might not be around every Thursday, but I try to get on. I'm trying to also include these small uploads when I can, really, so when my back pain allows. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you so much. I'll see you Saturday. Bye everybody.